Byers, your children are here.
Again? Seriously?
So, Stranger Things is over. And I don't know what to do. I just can't stop watching these videos. After years of hype, theories and breakdowns, reaction videos, people insisting that the Duffers are gonna write this epic ending to the saga, finally give us the answers that we're looking for. And now that we have that ending, honestly, I realized something. You know, the more distance you get from it, the clearer it becomes, and Stranger Things' failure, it's not because of Elle's acting, or Will's crying, or the lame Demi big monster at the end, or even Nancy. No, not even Nancy. It failed because the writers stopped caring about the one thing that made the show so successful in the first place. The relationships. And once you realize it, the entire show just feels meaningless. And it actually tells me and all of the fans that the Duffers didn't actually listen to us.
Yeah, I mean that's
I bet they didn't read any comments or watch any YouTube videos, and they can say that they did, but the show's fan base never really discussed how Vecna's gonna die, or that we need to see what Holly's up to, or that we need to explore the Upside Down. The whole fan base, whichever side you're on, they normally will be talking about the relationships, whether it's Will or Mike, or Elle and Mike, Max and Lucas, and Joyce and Hopper. That's what the fans constantly talk about, the relationships. And after watching the documentary, I think it's clear to everyone that the problems all come down to the Duffers.
like, I need some fucking money.
The uncomfortable truth is the Duffers were never great writers. They were great imitators. They understood nostalgia. They understood the aesthetic, the look. They understood how to remix those things that have already worked. But understanding why those things worked, that's a different skill set. From day one, Stranger Things is built on the bones of Stephen King. Kids on bikes, small town America, growing pains, and friendships, and the loss of innocence. Stephen King isn't a genius because he writes about monsters. He's a genius because he writes about people first, and the horror is just pressure that he applies to the relationships that already matter. See, the Duffers copied that formula extremely well in the first season, but then they ran out of the understanding of why it worked. Season 1 is great because it has the 80s vibe, the music, it's a great idea, the Upside Down, and as we've all seen from the documentary, it was only meant to be a 1 to 2 season show, primarily about Will, the Wheeler family, and Eleven, the mysterious outsider. And we all liked the expansion afterwards to get to see Elle's story, and we fell in love with the characters. But the failure is that they moved away from the most important parts of the show. Season 1 is a realistic fantasy. It has multiple impacts. You've got Elle's power revealed, the shock in the kids' faces, and the relatively small but highly effective action of the van flipping over them, and Elle's face as she looks back. It's an exciting scene and this feeling of realism because there's no CGI and it's not absurd. If you cut to season 5, this is unrealistic action and over-the-top CGI. It's got no meaning, no feeling that we can relate to. The Upside Down isn't scary on its own. It's scary in season 1 because Will is in there and we've no idea what's in there with him. Season 5, this Upside Down is kind of chill. Season 1, Joyce is desperate and we can see it. Season 5's Joyce is kind of wondering what she's even doing there. Season 1, these relationships feel real. The fact that it was only meant to be 1 to 2 seasons explains a lot. Because when you stretch out a story that was never designed to be stretched out, you don't get deeper characters, you get a repetition. You get relationships that stall and reset, or they exist purely to move the plot forward, and that's exactly what happens. And this also means that the writers then decided to amend or alter where the relationships will go. The fact that they were writing the show as they were filming says so much. This is probably not a one-off. They probably did this back in season 3, because we know the tone changes from season 3 onwards. The new characters, new ideas, and most of all, the distance gets bigger between the audience and the main cast, because the show starts creating all this new stuff. New characters, new stories, all basically put in front of the main storyline, and it makes it last longer. And it's gradual, so we didn't notice. And that's not even mentioning the fact that the style changes in the final season. We sort of lose the 80s vibe. The haircuts, the clothes, the music, the acne. The whole vibe is different in season 5. So, let's get into it. The relationship autopsy. Eleven and Mike, season 1 to season 2, this is special. The audience is fully invested in this mysterious girl, this superhero, and their chemistry is perfect. Frankly, the only reason we're watching season 1 and 2 is all about them. It's this love story, and they do things just enough. They stare at each other, they're transfixed, like they're joined mentally. And it's the makings of a great, passionate love story. Obviously with kids, so nothing freaky. But we like the sweet love story within the crazy monster horror show. Even season 3 is good because we can see this teenage angst. Season 3 has got its own vibe. I never thought it was great before, but now that I've seen season 5, I actually think season 3, even though it doesn't drive the story much, it's a great season for character development. It's got that 80s nostalgia with the mall. Cut to season 5, Elle and Mike, they have a lack of romantic chemistry that they had previously. They've reduced the romantic feel between them. I don't know why, but it's obvious things, like they don't even kiss. Like, that's huge, right? My first thought was, they kiss at the end, but in their minds, right? And it's more of a goodbye kiss because, it's sort of the only way you can say goodbye to someone who's about to die. There's so many theories flying around about if it's real. Elle couldn't use her powers because of the machines. So there's a theory about 8 bringing them into her mind so that they can have this goodbye. Doesn't really make a lot of sense because why not bring all of them in? Why just the 2 of them? Why not Hopper, for example? Anyway, it's also the chemistry. They don't really look into each other's eyes. They hug a lot, but it's a hug to avoid intimacy rather than start it. They definitely hug and look at each other differently in the first 3 seasons. That might sound really picky, like I'm picking on the way they hug, but the whole point of the actors is that they convey to the audience, not with words, but with body language, the way they look at each other, the way they interact. They're telling the story based on how they behave. And the audience is watching closely, so we can see the differences. Being sat miles apart from each other, cross-legged, looking at the sunset, it's not enough to fool us. It's just different and it feels different. And that leads to the next relationship, Will and Mike. This is where we start to see that the writers didn't actually have a plan of where they're going with the relationships. They can say that they did now, but if it was clear, there wouldn't be so many questions. Like, there's too many questions out there because you can pull up all these clips, all these moments, all these signals that the fandom has just jumped on, and the fans run with it because, that's what they're there for. The fans are reacting to what they're seeing. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the whole point. So you've either got the Duffers writing with the intention of Will and Mike happening, because all the clips, all the blatant looks and the moments, they're really on the nose and obvious. It's not even subtle. It's like so much that even the actors are aware of it. Or maybe the Duffers didn't mean to have these signals and they're purely coincidental. But that's unlikely. Or there's a possibility that they wanted Will to be this heartbreaking character, for him to get kidnapped, tortured physically and mentally, the trauma that he goes through, and being so vulnerable that he latches on emotionally to Mike. With all the signaling, basically never moves on with his life, and he's tied to Mike until season 5.
What?
Hence the reason why he's always crying. That could be an option. Maybe they're making that character. Maybe they're trying to make him a bit of a martyr. But I think the problem is that the fans were given the Duffers way too much credit.
Like, I need some fucking money.
I don't even think that they even planned Mike and Will anything. I think they saw moments and opportunities to tease something, but not thinking long term. Like all of these teasers, everything that they're giving to the audience, the fan base are going to want some kind of conclusion at the end. And I honestly don't think the Duffers were thinking that far ahead. I'm a fan of Mike, Will, and Elle. So whatever happens in this triangle, I was open to anything. I liked the fact that we didn't know what was going to happen. But what we end up with is we actually get nothing. Elle dies, Will leaves, and Mike is just left to right. So all three potential relationships just end. Mike and Elle, Will, Elle, Mike, Will, Mike and Elle, Mike and Will.
I don't. God, certain things are open to interpretation. I don't know.
I don't know.
I truly don't know.
I don't know what happened to them.
Ross and I know.
I don't know.
No.
It's confusing, and it's bad writing. Or basically, it's writing as you go along.
Not cool. Sorry.
Not cool. It's okay.
The only plus is that, you know, you get Mike and Will to have this great friendship. But even that, if we really think about it, Will is this kid who's gone through some serious trauma, and he's latched himself emotionally to Mike. And Mike isn't the most sensitive guy. He's had his good moments, but you can't deny, in the show, he's kind of selfish and completely oblivious to what's going on. I mean, his reaction when Will comes out, it's kind of luck that this relationship didn't get messed up. And this is not me criticizing Mike, because maybe Mike is the perfect type of friend for Will. Someone not as sensitive as him, someone who's oblivious to what's going on. Like, so they're never really gonna have a big argument because Mike's not that deep. I mean, come on, Mike is so basic that even Will has to tell him to tell Elle that he loves her. So that's the two main relationships that the show failed. Now let's talk about Eleven and Hopper. This should have been the strongest emotional relationship of the show. Hopper's character in season 1 and 2 is one of the most emotional and heart-plucking. You can totally see a guy who's gone through a lot of trauma and sadness of his own, and he gets a second chance to be a father and care for someone. He's got this hard exterior, soft and gooey on the inside. Perfect character writing for a show like this, because you can see he works to serve. He's the sheriff of the town. He has so much to give, and they nail the father and daughter relationship because they argue loads. There's lots of bickering. There's no soppy stuff at the beginning. It's realistic. Season 3, the changes start. They make him a bit more comical. Not really funny, just comical. You got the writing stretching out the characters. They make him pretty over the top in some scenes for some weird reason, but he makes it work. Season 5, Elle and Hopper, they have a couple of scenes to drive this emotion and the love that Hopper has for Elle. And it works well, but this is a testament to how good an actor he is, because they drive things pretty hard at the risk of overacting. But then they completely kill it by removing him from the finale. They bring them together for the final show, but then in the final 2-hour episode, he's nowhere to be seen. And even like strategically, surely he should have been on the battlefield. Like, isn't he trained up in the military? Isn't that his background? Like, throw me a freaking weapon.
Dame el arma. Dame el arma. Give me the weapon. Give me the weapon. Give me the weapon. Give me the weapon.
Elle and Mike in the final goodbye. Yeah, it makes sense, but it felt odd that it didn't include Hopper. That felt wrong.
Yeah, I mean that's
Next up, the Byers family. Jonathan and Will, and Jonathan and Joyce. The heart of the show. It all starts out with the Byers family. You got Will and Jonathan. Now these two sold it for me. I've done a couple of videos on them already, but what they do so well is they just make us believe in the brotherly bond between them. You see how much Jonathan cares for Will, everything he does to try and help Will in season 1 and 2. It's some of the best acting, I think, in the entire show. And again, even in season 4, they have a great brotherly scene, and again, steals the show for me. Jonathan and Joyce in season 1, the distress that he has to watch his mother go through all the pain. Jonathan was the breakout star for me at that time. And over the seasons, from 3 to 4 to... What did they do to this guy? They completely ruined this character for me. The final season, Jonathan and Joyce, they don't even have a scene together, I don't think. Not enough for me to remember. They feel like strangers in the final season. I can't break down or look at any scenes in the final season because there aren't any. Nancy and Jonathan. A relationship, as Murray states, brought together by shared trauma. The classic goody two-shoes girl with the school stud, but who has a soft spot for the mysterious bad boy of the school.
Who's he?
That's
Jonathan Byers.
He's totally gorgeous, obviously. But apparently nobody here is good enough for him. Like I care, you know? So, yeah. Seriously, like, don't waste your time. I wasn't planning on it.
It works. Is it true to life? Yeah. Was it going to last forever? Probably not. But honestly, ask yourself, why do we need to see the reality of life shown to us like this? Like, we know life sucks, but we watch these shows to get a break from reality. And this relationship becomes a very sad, slow decay on screen, season by season. It's a perfect example of the problem with the writers stretching things out over 5 seasons.
Like, I need some fucking money.
Because they reached their high in season 2, and because the writers are trying to be smart, it's like they're using Jonathan and Nancy as a way to push some type of message out there. And I'm not sure what the message is. You can almost imagine you've got the writer's room and you've got one writer trying to push one message and another writer trying to push another one. And it just results in this complicated, convoluted message that nobody understands.
Yo! She's proposing to Nancy! I knew it, bro.
I guess I'm not the only person that didn't realize that Nancy Wheeler and Jonathan Byers broke up.
Wait, they're already getting a divorce?
The melting room scene. They reveal how they're not compatible. They admit lies that they've said to each other, but that they love each other. But they're even lying as they're breaking up, because if they really loved each other, why would they be breaking up? A lot of the audience were confused. If Jonathan has just bought a ring, and he's been holding on to it for ages, waiting to propose, and now within seconds of this little conversation, he's happy now and doesn't want to get married. It doesn't make sense. She throws the ring away, just like Jonathan probably saved to get this ring. I mean, we know he has no money. And if they're really about to die in this scene, wouldn't they die just like comforting each other? You know, you don't have to die revealing all these things that you don't like about each other anymore. From season 1, Nancy starts out with Steve. She moves over to Jonathan, but season 2 to 3 is where they start to drift apart and the bumps occur. Nancy goes off with Steve. Jonathan becomes a bigger loser with no direction. Nancy is a complicated character as well, in a good way. She starts out very feminine, popular girl, but she has strong morals and she has lots of decisions to make. But again, they lead her character in this direction, but she doesn't really make a lot of deep choices or changes. I mean, she doesn't even break up with the guys. Often it's the guys that have to move around her and make decisions, whether it's breaking up with her or putting her in a corner.
Hey, Dingus, your children are here.
Again? Seriously?
Nancy and Steve. It's funny, when they started writing Steve's character towards season 3, he's becoming a bit lost, a bit directionless, and it actually works out really well for this character. And I doubt that was the writer's plan. But Steve grows a lot. Nancy doesn't really grow. Jonathan definitely doesn't grow. But in splitting up Steve and Nancy at the beginning, they actually send Steve through a lot of self-development. Bad writing is purposely putting Nancy in these strange roles that feel forced and not believable. But good writing is putting Steve into these annoying little parts where getting dumped, being lost in life, in a career, they feel realistic and unfortunate, but that's quite true to life and it's very believable. Steve goes through various arcs. The decisions in season 3 making Steve's character take steps back in life, making him a little bit of a joke, hanging out with the younger kids, trying to connect with Robin, only to fail, but then learning and earning a friendship with her, and being forced to hang out with Dustin.
So hard in your face that your teeth will fall back out.
Oh, too far.
Not cool. Sorry.
Yeah, cool. Is it?
But then naturally building this bond. It's not faked, it's not pushed hard, and it's completely natural. Good for him. I don't think I gave him any credit before, because now when I look at him in scenes, you can sort of see some internal pain or discomfort in seeing Nancy and Jonathan together and having to interact with the group. But he deals with it. You know, he doesn't cry about it, he just accepts it. It's good acting. He really does grow through the awkward times. And that's a good segue to the relationships that do work in the show. Steve and Dustin. The most successful relationship between two guys in the show. They're the only consistently successful relationship in the entire show in terms of chemistry. Even when they argue, there's good screen chemistry. They bounce off each other so well. And I think it's because over the seasons, their relationship is just allowed to grow, to change and breathe. The next best relationship in the show is Max and Lucas. Looking back, they are great together. They're the only ones in the show who have this cute, funny chemistry. In season 3 especially, it's genuinely funny. And it works because both characters are sort of feisty and tough. I mean, let's face it, a lot of the characters in the show are soppy and overly emotional. But they're not, and this is why it works so much more when they have to deal with some serious things. There's strong moments and great performances. But once again, their relationship exists outside of all the trauma. After everything they go through, their bond doesn't really change. It's the same relationship, they've just had some things happen. So they're not affected by all this stuff that's going on, but the other relationships in the show are. Hopper and Joyce, a successful relationship. It's not a typical love story, it's quite practical. We get plenty of screen time with them over the seasons, so lots of time to develop. In fact, if I was going to criticize it, I would say we probably didn't need, the final scene with them, getting engaged. We already can see that they're together. They have a strong friendship, relationship. It's already implied that they're together. We can see their love, so we don't need to drive that hard. That was like 15 minutes when could have spent that 15 minutes on someone else.
Joyce, drive! Come on, Joyce, quit screwing around! Go, Joyce, drive, go, Joyce, drive, go.
I'm
Joyce,
trying.
please, Joyce, drive!
Now let's not forget some of the relationships that didn't have a chance to bloom.
Hold on a second. We need to talk.
Get away from me.
Okay, no.
Come on, we're here. Whoa.
You two are a long way from home. What's going on here?
Susie!
Dusty Bun? Dusty Bun.
I'm sorry, and you are?
Billy. Billy Hargrove.
And the most important relationship, proof of how the Duffers don't actually care what happens to the characters.
I don't. God.
They're simply used to further the story along. Because if you think about it, Carly is an important character in her own right, perfectly suitable to have her own story, but they just bring her in to kill her off. Think about how bad that is, because it shows that the writers are just keeping the rest of the cast alive. It's meaningless. It's just as meaningless as if they killed everyone off. Especially now, after the documentary, after the interviews, the audience now is fully aware that the Duffers no longer own the ownership of Stranger Things. It belongs to Netflix.
We know about the spinoff you guys are getting serious about. We know obviously about the play, which is exceptional. People should check it out. I've seen it a couple times. You've hinted at something else though. Is there another Stranger Things project that is yet unannounced? The animated show we know about, but is there something else cooking that we just don't know about?
Yes. Yes, but it's
I
not.
don't know why, man. I don't even know why you.
Huh?
I don't know why you tease this. Yeah, there is something else though.
I don't want to be like, there's nothing else when there is something else.
The audience wasn't the priority in finishing this story correctly. For years, fans trusted these writers. We thought that these relationships meant something. But by the end, it's painfully clear to us and even to the cast that they weren't writing for us. They were writing for Netflix. That's why there's no meaningful deaths, no permanent consequences, no real risk, because risk limits future options, and options are valuable when a brand is on the line. And so I guess that's the reason why a lot of fans are disappointed, because this is a show that started out with family, friendships, and people who actually needed each other to survive. And all these relationships, they grew into love stories, unspoken love, and just messy human connections. And after a decade of investment, none of them really mattered. So all the love from the fans driving the show meant nothing. The writers just did what they wanted. Or they did whatever they could think of last minute.
Like, I need some fucking money.
In regards to all the relationships in the show, in the end, the only relationship that truly worked the most successful wasn't romantic or epic or tragic. It was the most basic friendship that was allowed to grow.
Not cool. Sorry.
The Upside Down is cool. It's a great idea, but the show fails because it's just a mix of conflicting messages. And I don't know what the message is. And clearly, neither do the writers.
Yeah, I mean that's